When I imagine my birth, in my mind's eye, it is a joyful occasion. I see a dark-haired newborn snuggled in her young mother's arms, while her loving grandmother hovers over the birthing bed, cooing and strutting. Her father is proud, her mother beaming. Downstairs, the rest of the family is celebrating. The servants prepare a feast. In a trunk, there is a fine layette for the infant. There is a frock made of soft muslin cloth, fabric as delicate and transparent as butterflies' wings, with smocking tracing the fluttering hemline. There are hand-knitted booties, caps the size of flowers, and a blanket, along with a velvet box of jewels, gold coins, chains, and 22-carat baby bracelets and earrings. For a long time, that was how I believed it was. But on my 10th birthday, I learned the truth. I had planned a big party. It would take place at tea time, and there would be samosas, pakoras, French pastries, and a cake from Adu's, the best bakery in Srinagar, Kashmir's summer capital, which was usually reserved for special occasions, such as Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of Ramadan. As I busily blew up balloons and arranged the white hydrangeas and lilies in a vase, one of my aunts suddenly challenged me. "Why do you celebrate your birthday with such pomp and show?" she asked. "Don't you know what your real birthday was like?" My real birthday? My aunt went on to share, in a hushed tone, the circumstances of my birth. She described a thin, pale, premature baby lying naked and alone and struggling to survive in a far corner of the birthing room, while the midwives and my grandmother focused exclusively on my feverish, exhausted mother. I was the third girl in the family. In those days, half a century ago in Kashmir, India, boys were assets while girls were considered burdens, bodies to feed, clothe, and marry off with substantial dowries. As my aunt continued talking, it seemed as if every balloon in the room had suddenly been pricked. I was shocked. Why had I not heard the story before? I stormed off to find my mother. I was only 19 years old, my mother explained when I pressed her to talk about it. She said, "I was supposed to give birth to you, my third girl, at my mother's house, but my contractions had already begun and I was barely conscious. Mariam, my sister-in-law, had given birth to 3 boys. And after I gave birth to you, my third girl, I was considered a failure for not managing to produce a boy. They kept you from me and your father. Your grandfather came home from work and was given the sad news that a third granddaughter had been born, my mother told me. He rushed up the stairs and broke all traditions by barging into the birthing room. No door or lock could stop him. He found me lying in bed weeping. 'Where is the baby?' he demanded. Tears welled up in my mother's eyes as she spoke. I was too weak to go to you, and the others would not bring me the baby. You were premature and fragile, and I was frightened you were going to die. All I could do was cry. I had no status, no power over even my own newborn child. But my mother brightened up at this point in the story. Your grandfather scooped you up in his own dussa shawl and announced, 'She is a gift from God, and she will be treated the same as everyone else in this household.' Mummy told me that he handed me to her, and she held my face in her hands and assured me that I was her dil, her heart, and her jigger, her liver, and that she and my father loved me. Then my mother told me the rest of the story. She said, 'When my mother Moji heard that I had given birth to a third daughter, after your grandfather had interfered and saved you, she rushed to be by my side. When Moji walked into the room, I began to sob. Moji rubbed her hand over my forehead. I had never felt anything so soothing. I was half out of my mind. 'But what will become of her?' I sobbed. I could not even imagine what the future held for yet another girl in the family. Moji lifted you and set you by her side while she bent down on her knees and pressed her head to the floor, and then lifted her hands in prayer. Moji told me, I have prayed for you both, and you don't have to weep for this girl, because, beloved daughter, she is destined to reach great heights. Mommy told me she could hardly believe what Moji was saying. Can this be true? She asked. Yes, Moji assured her. She will climb the sky, and you will never have to worry about her. Mommy had found this confusing. What did that mean, climb the sky? Never have to worry about her. But her mind was at rest. My birth had been preordained. Perhaps her daughter would do well in school, become educated. Perhaps she would become a doctor, stand on her own 2 feet. This frail child might marry a man of great wealth, or miraculously turn into a beauty, as Mummy herself was.